All right, Shalom. This is Brother Kashakwala back at it again with another overview of the book of Jonah. And today we're on the second chapter. First and foremost, I want to give all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rachakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. Peace, love, salutation to the elect 144 first fruit. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and jump into this Jonah chapter 2. Now, yesterday, if you've been on my page, you see that I did an overview of Jonah chapter 1. So, again, the word overview means a summary or inspection of, or a synopsis, or synopsis meaning a summary of the second chapter of the book of Jonah, as well as what I did with the first chapter of Jonah. So if you didn't get that, watch that and then flow into this video right here. Now, without further ado, Jonah chapter 2, if you're following along, you more than likely want to open your books up to the book of Psalms, because Jonah chapter 2 is him praying unto the Lord, because we understand what happened in Jonah, the first chapter. He was swallowed by the fish that the Lord prepared for him when he was thrown off the ship by the individuals who were on the ship. You see, he was cast into the sea. Now, Jonah's integrity is what got him casted into the sea, okay? He owned up to the fact that, I shouldn't have ran away. I shouldn't have done it. I ran away from the presence of the Lord. So I got to do this. So y'all need to throw me off the ship so y'all don't get sunk because of me. You see? So his integrity came into play. He owned up to it, and now he's in the belly of the fish. And that's where we leave off and continue in Jonah chapter 2. So this is Jonah's prayer to the Lord while he was in the belly of that fish. And we understand that he was in the belly of that fish for 3 days and 3 nights. So this is Jonah chapter 2 and 1. It says, then Jonah prayed unto the Lord Yahweh his power out of the belly, out of the fish's belly. You see? I know Esau and Christianity always want to say a whale. The scriptures say a fish. Okay? So that's what happened. So he prayed out of the fish's belly, not a whale. All right? As a matter of fact, let's see what the fish, Daga. And Daga is like, it's a fish. All right? You could, Dagon, when you read in the book of Samuel, I want to say like 1 Samuel 6, between 6 and 8. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just, giving broad general areas of the scripts where you'll find Dagon, which was a Philistine or a Hamite god. And when you look up Dagon, it was like a fish head. All right, so that's where you get the word Dagon from. Daga, which is fish. All right. Just to clarify that, it wasn't a whale. That's where them Jewish fables come into play, which, if I'm not mistaken, let's see, the book of Titus. Let me open up another thing. The book of Titus tells us to watch out for. Let's see. Bear with me real quick. There we go. Titus 1:14, not giving heed to Jewish fables and commandments of men that turn from the truth. Christianity will always sit here and say that Jonah was swallowed by a whale when it clearly in the Hebrew is Dagon, Daga, which means fish. He was swallowed by a fish, okay, by a great fish, which the scriptures say. And when you read Jonah 1:17, which I'll read, Jonah 1:17. Now the Lord had appeared, now the Lord had prepared a great fish to swallow up Jonah. Simple as that. All right. It's not too much to think into. It was a fish, not a well. All right. So let's go on to verse 2. Verse 2, it says, "And I said, I cried by reason of mine affliction unto the Lord, and he heard me out of the belly of hell cried I, and thou heardest my voice." You see that? That's how we know there is no hell underneath earth. Some fiery place with a dumbass nigga with some horns in a red suit with a pitchfork poking motherfuckers. You know that's a goddamn Jewish fable, man. Something you shouldn't believe in. It sounds hella far-fetched too, if you ask me. It doesn't sound right, you know. Hell is a condition. In the condition that Jonah, he was in the belly of a fish. Of course that's hell. He's going through hell. We're in the belly of America. It's hell. It's full of shit. It's a condition that you're in. So by reason of the hell that he was in, his condition is why he was crying unto the Lord. It says, by reason of mine affliction. That sounds like somebody's name when you go on the 12 tribes. Simeon, Shemaiwan, affliction heard. You see? So let's go to Psalms 120. Because we're going to be in the book of Psalms a lot. Because these 10 verses are a prayer. It's a prayer that he was sending up to the Lord. Okay? This is Psalms 120 and 1. It says, "In my distress, I cried unto the Lord, and he heard me." So it said what? "And I said, I cried by reason of my affliction unto the Lord." So in Jonah's distress, he cried unto the Lord. And usually that's just what happens. That's what happens when we go through our day-to-day and some bullshit is happening to us. We immediately, the first thing that you should be thinking about is going to the Lord and praying, calling on his name so he can deliver you. And it says, "And he heard me." All right? And he heard me just like this. And the time is there. He heard me when I prayed unto him. All right? It says, out of the belly of hell cried, out of the belly of hell cried I. So out of the condition that he was in, he cried to the Lord because he wasn't in a good predicament at this point. He's like, who wants to be stuck in the belly of a big ass fish? Not I. It says, "And thou heardest my voice." You see? And thou heardest my voice. All right. So continuing Jonah chapter 2 and 3, it says, "For thou hast cast me into the deep, in the midst of the seas, and the floods compassed me about. All thy billows and thy waves passed over me." Right? Okay? So with that, let's go to Psalms. We're going to stay in the book of Psalms, I'm telling you. We're going to go to Psalms 88 and 6. It says, "Thou hast laid me in the lowest pit." You see? Jonah was in a low state. That's how he go. That's another clarification that he was in. The hell is the condition that you're in. Even the Psalms say a pit. Now we know the word hell, grave, and pit are synonymous with one of another when we read the scripts. So it's a condition. All right? Yes, you have a literal hell, pit, and grave, which is the grave, like in the earth. You're 6 feet under type, like what people say today. All right? That's the pit. Okay? But the pit we're speaking, the lowest pit, is speaking of a condition. The lowest condition that you're in. You're contrite. The word contrite means of the ground. Okay? So continuing, it says, "For thou hast cast me in the deep." So you put me in a deep situation, man. I'm stuck. You know? Well, you know the saying where You dug yourself into a deep hole. This is what he's saying. I dug myself into Jonah did dig himself into a deep hole by not going to Nineveh right when he was told to. Therefore, he has to go through this affliction. All right? For every action, there's a reaction. For everything that you do wrong, there's a consequence that the Lord has to give you. It's like, look, you went off. Like, you transgressed. You know I'm going to have to get you. It's like, your dad tells you don't put your hand in the cookie jar, and you go put your hand in the cookie jar, and he's just watching you do it and not doing shit. No, he's going to watch you do it and proceed to beat your ass and put you in a deep predicament. You dug yourself in a hole. It says, for thou hast cast me into the deep. For the action that Jonah did in Jonah, the first chapter. You see? It says, in the midst of the seas, and the floods compassed me about, and thy billows and thy waves passed over me. Right? And thy billows and thy waves passed over me. Let's go to Psalms 42. I think it's 7. Psalms 42 and 7. Deep calleth unto deep at the noise of thy water spouts. All thy waves and thy billows are gone over me. All right. So meaning he's going through a tough time, man. Simple. And literally, yes, the waves passed over him. He was thrown off the ship. The ship was getting hit by waves and all that. But in this case, again, the condition that he was in, it was overweighing him. It was compassing him round about. And that's what he's praying for, because of the affliction and the condition that he is in at the very moment. Because again, he is inside the belly of the fish. He's in a deep predicament, and adversity is compassing him like the floods and the waves. All right. So he's praying to the Lord about these things. All right. I say, Jonas, I'm in some deep shit right now. Like straight up. All right. So verse 4, it says, then I said, I am cast out of thy sight. Yet will I look again toward thy holy temple. It says, yet will I look again toward thy holy temple. Here comes the righteous obstinance. All right. So I'm going to get the word obstinate. I'm a terrible speller, so bear with me. Obstinance. All right. It says non-compliant, self-willed, persistent. Persistence is what I want right there. All right, let's go to obstinate. It says stubborn and adhering to one's own course, unyielding. All right, determined. That's a good one. So persistent, or it says persist. So stand stubbornly. That's good. Stand stubbornly, determined, persistent, or persist. All right. These are good words to show you that he said, yet I will look again toward thy. He was persistent in his belief in the Lord. He stood stubbornly in his faith and belief of the Lord, even though he was in this predicament. He says, then I said, because watch. Then I said, I am cast out of thy sight. When someone can cast you out of the sight, people usually just give up and say, fuck it. Well, that's that. Not in this case with Jonah. Okay. So even us today, Jeremiah 15:1, it says, then said the Lord unto me, though Moses and Samuel stood before me, yet my mind could not be toward this people. Cast them out of my sight and let them go forth. But we're still here to this day calling on them because we are persistent. We're obstinate in the faith. We stand boldly and strong, and we still believe the Lord got our back. And that is the case according to the scriptures. And Jonah understood that. You see, Jonah understood that. Therefore, he what? He kept praying unto the Lord. All right. He kept praying unto the Lord. All right. So it says again, then I said, I am cast out of thy sight. All right. Bear with me. Psalm 31 and 22. It says, "For I said in my haste, I am cut off from before thine eyes. Nevertheless, nevertheless, thou heardest the voice of my supplications, my beggings." Supplication means to beg, and it's a prayer. "When I cried unto thee." You see that? When you go, in the book of Judges, there's a man named Samson, a Danite, who we know about. He had a woman who was nagging the shit out of him. Just kept nagging him. Nagging. He finally heard her. You see? It's the same thing in our case. We're just nagging the Lord. Even though he's a cast him out of my sight, we keep poking at him. The scriptures say, give him no rest. You're supposed to cry unto the Lord and keep begging the Lord to get you out of the condition, the hell, the pit, the deep that you're in. You see? Okay? So let's go back. All right. Verse 4 says, "Then I said, I am cast out of thy sight, yet will I look again toward thy holy temple." That's heavy. All right. Toward thy holy temple. Let's get Daniel chapter 6 and 10 real quick. Daniel chapter 6 and 10. All right. It says, "Now when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house, and his windows being open in his chamber toward Jerusalem, he kneeled upon his knees 3 times a day and prayed and gave thanks before his power as he did aforetime." All right. It says, "Yet I will look again toward thy holy temple." All right. He knew he had to, in the spirit, face the east and pray to his power. Just like what Daniel did. He faced Jerusalem. All right. And prayed to his power. Okay. So verse 5. It says, "The waters compassed me about, even to thy soul. The depth closed me round about. The weeds were wrapped about my head." All right. Psalm 69. Psalm 69 and 1. It says, "Save me, O Yahweh, for the waters are coming to my soul." You see? Jonah was praying, man. He was praying hard. And I'm giving a synopsis of this. In the literal case, yes, the waters compassed him. But what is water? Water is a powerful element. Okay? When it compasses you means surrounding. There's not much you can do. It's a force that just cannot be stopped. All right? So these waters that compassed him was the Spirit of the Lord putting him through a trial that just he couldn't stop it. He had to go through it. All right? It was a trial and a predicament that the Lord put him in that compassed him and surrounded him. The only way out was to go to him was to go to the Lord before he drowned. Before he drowned in the affliction, before he drowned, I'm just saying drowned as a metaphorical sense. Before he drowned in the affliction, before he drowned in the trial that the Lord presented to him, he had to call on the Lord to reach out the hand and pull him out. See? Jonah read the Psalms. Jonah read the Psalms and understood that in his time of trouble, he had to go back to the Lord. And that's what we are to do. When we take this from Jonah 2, we need to go back to the Lord in the time of our affliction, which we're in right now. Every single day we wake up. We thank the Lord for waking up and giving us another day. But we got to pray to the Lord to get us out of the deep. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. That valley of shadow of death is those waters compassing us. Every day here in America. The valley of the shadow of death is America. And those are the waters that compass us. Those are our trials, our tribulations, our tests that we go through day by day. It's the same thing Jonah's going through right now. Those are those waters compassing. You see? Let's go to verse 6. Verse 6, it says, I went down to the bottoms of the mountains. The earth with her bars was about me forever. Yet hast thou brought up my life from corruption. Oh, Yahweh, my power. You see that? Let's go to Job. All right? Because Job is another individual that we understand waters compassed him. You see, metaphorically. He was going through a lot of tribulation, but he still kept his integrity, just like Jonah kept his integrity in chapter 1. Even though he went off, he owned up to it. And he had to go through what he had to go through. It's like you being a badass at school. You know you about to get your ass beat at home, and you know you just got to go through it. You know you did wrong. You know you're going to get your ass beat. You just got to go through it. All right, so Job 33:28, he would deliver his soul from going into the pit, and his life shall see the light. You see? His life shall see the light. So again, it says, I went down to the bottoms of the mountains. The earth with her bars was about me forever. Yet hast thou brought up my life from corruption. Out of that corruption is the light, man. The corruption is the darkness. All right? And the Lord brings you out of that. You see? Let's go on to verse 7. It says, when my soul fainted within me, I remembered the Lord. You see? The scriptures also tell you, even through your afflictions and even pretty much synopsis, I think it's in the Apocrypha, even through your good times, you're always supposed to remember the Lord. But of course, when you're going through some hell, in Jacob's trouble, you get caught up, you in a concentration camp, you might be getting interrogated, your head might be on the chopping block, straight up. You definitely going to remember the Lord, because you're going to be crying on him to give you salvation. Whether it has to come through you getting your head chopped off or getting killed, whatever. You pray to the Lord for the salvation. You remember through your time of distress to call upon him. You see? It says, and my prayer came unto thee into thy holy temple. Woo! Let's go to Psalm 18. This is a good chapter, man. Psalm 18:6. It says, in my distress I called upon the Lord and cried unto my power. And he heard my voice out of his temple. This is a precept to Psalms 120:1. It says, and my cry came before him, even unto his ears. You see, Raphael takes your prayers up to the Lord, man. That's why you have to pray. Apostle Ricard says it the best. You got to continue to pray and pray and pray, man. The Lord hears these things. All right? The Lord hears it, and he'll give you the salvation. He'll give you that key to get out of that situation, because he's the one who made the lock. You see what I'm saying? Catching my drift? All right? So going back to Jonah, it says, when my soul fainted within me, I got weak, I remembered the Lord. All right? And my prayer came unto thee into thine holy temple. All right? My prayer came unto thee into thy holy temple. And we brought out Psalm 18. Read Psalms the 18th chapter with 2 Samuel the 22nd chapter. Just a side note. You'll enjoy it. All right? So going on, verse 8, it says, they that observe lying vanities forsake their own mercy. All right? Let's get one precept. Psalms 31:6. I have hated them that regarded lying vanities, but I trust in the Lord. And it's the same thing Jonah is here. He's trusting in the Lord. He's obstinate in the faith. All right? Verse 9. It says, but I will sacrifice unto thee with the voice of thanksgiving. Come on now. Let's go ahead and get that script in the book of Hebrews. I know the Bishop Tazawam, the head of my camp here in Atlanta, loves to bring this one out. It says Hebrews 13:15. By him, therefore, let us offer the sacrifice of praise to the Most High continually. That is the fruit of our lips, giving thanks to his name. So again, Jonah 2:9, it says, but I will sacrifice unto thee the voice of thanksgiving. And that's the fruit of the lips, man. That's your supplications, your beggings, your prayers. That's going to the highways and byways. That's doing a lesson. Okay? These are the things that are pleasing unto the Lord. The communication. All right? Let's read it. Hebrews 13:16. But to do good and communicate, forget not. And how do you communicate? Through your lips. The thanks that you give through your lips is a communication unto the Lord. All right? It says, but to do good and communicate, forget not. Let's get the word communicate because it's heavy. Koinonia, I love going into this word, and I love getting this right here. The share which one has anything. You are to share anything that you have on your mental that you can articulate unto the Lord. You got to share those things. The Lord loves that sacrifice. Bro, just tell me what's wrong. I already know what's wrong with you. I just want to hear you say it. Communicate with me. Tell me. Say it to my face, man. Of course, in the most humble type way, with all humility. But that's the same thing Jonah is doing here. He owned up to his mistake in Jonah, the first chapter. His integrity stood. And now he's obstinate in the spirit and the faith to still cry unto his power and be sorrowful and asking for the help that he needs through his distress. The Lord knew it already. And Jonah just communicated with the Lord. You see? It says, I will pay that I have vowed. All right? He'll pay what he has vowed. Let's go to back to the book of Job. We're going to be in the book of Psalm and Job, a little bit of Job, but especially the book of Psalms 22. Let's go to verse 27. It says, thou shalt make thy prayer unto him, and he shall hear thee, and thou shalt pay thy vows. Pay homage to the Lord, man. You got to own up. You got to do what you got to do, man. You see? You got to do what you got to do. It says what? Salvation is of the Lord. Salvation, that key, is with the Lord to get out of anything that you're in. Psalms 3:8. Salvation belongeth unto the Lord. Thy blessings is upon the people. Selah, and ponder upon that. You see? Let that sink in. Let that marinate. All right? Meditate. And with all these supplication that he brought out, we're going to go back up to verse 2 in a second. This is what happened. Verse 10, it says, and the Lord spake unto the fish and vomited out Jonah upon the dry land. So back to verse 2, it says, and I said, I cried by reason of my affliction unto the Lord, and he heard me. He prayed to the Lord, and the Lord heard him. And in turn, verse 10 happened to Jonah. You see that? Psalm 120 again. Psalm 120:1, it says, in my distress I cried unto the Lord, and he heard me. Because Jonah kept his integrity in the first chapter and kept his faith in the second chapter, the Lord recognized that and let him and let him out of the fish. You see? So that's Jonah, the overview of Jonah chapter 2. Lord willing, you brothers was edified and encouraged to keep praying unto the Lord, because that's what Jonah did. You saw he got out of his predicament. The Lord heard him. You see? So again, I hope y'all are edified. I want to give all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem Rachakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone to rule and teach well. Peace, love, salutation to the elect 144 first fruit. Brother Kasha Quality. Until next time, like always, Shalom.